Another day, another case study. So in this video, we're going to break down how we've had this brand scale to 1.95 million per month with 22% profit margin. So this brand has been around for 4 years and they were always targeted around 4 to 500K per month the entire time, right? So they had strong creatives, they had an in-house team, and they also had a loyal customer base. But every time they tried to push ad spend, the ROAS collapsed, right? And the growth turned unprofitable. So in this video breakdown, I'll walk you through everything we changed to break through the glass ceiling. So we're going to break down the new offer structure. We're going to break down the cold traffic funnel, the listicle pre-sale pages, and also the ad account restructuring. And also I'm going to help you understand the thinking process behind that decision, right? So this brand went from 428,000 per month to over 1.95 million per month in the first 30 days of working together. You can see that in October, they were averaging around 20,000 per day. And then in November, we got them to 1.95 million with some of them being $155,000 per day days, which is pretty sick, right? So basically, in this collaboration, me and my team, we owned the whole strategy, and then we just gave them our SOPs, our templates, and our AI agents to execute everything in-house. So if you want to understand how we can potentially work together with your brand, then just click on this link, watch the click explanation video here, and then go down here, schedule a call with me and my team. You're just going to get a free growth audit. We're going to look at your KPIs, identify the biggest bottlenecks in your business, and then if we see a great fit, you and I, and working together, then we're going to proceed to make you an offer. So I would say, let's get straight into the video. Quick background, quick proof. I basically publish new case studies, new videos every other week. So as you can see here, these are all case studies, testimonials from clients of ours. This is a brand that we took from 300K per month to $1 million per month in 90 days. This is another founder that doubled his revenue in 90 days of working with us. This is another founder that went from 500,000 to 1.2 million per month in 90 days. This is a founder that we take from 0 to 8 figures in his first year. This is how we work with Kino Buddy, help him scale in 9.3x ROAS, right? So there are so many different case studies that you can find on my YouTube channel. And then the last 3 are with brands that we helped crush 100 million per month, or brands that have already been at 9 figures and we still have to make more money. And here are some more recent client wins from the past couple of weeks. So here, for example, we helped the client double his revenue. He went from 15,000 per day to 34,000 per day in just 30 days. We increased his conversion rate by 30%. This is another client that we helped scale from 100,000 per day to over 166,000 per day. And you can see another client that we helped 2x his revenue in 30 days of working together, right? So again, there's a lot of stuff that you can find here, but I would say the most interesting is, let's get straight into this case study. So first of all, the agenda for this breakdown. At the beginning of this case study, because we're going to cover a lot of ground, I first want to look at the fundamentals and the rough content of the roadmap, right? Everybody wants to make millions of dollars, believe me. But often what most entrepreneurs, especially in e-commerce, fail to do is that they don't have the basic fundamentals in place, right? And without the basics, this case study would not have happened. So we're going to start with the analysis first, so how we identified the biggest bottlenecks. Then we're going to talk about how we then translated that into the roadmap, meaning what do we have to execute in which order, and then also the market research, right? So how we identified how we can attack this market and scale this brand so aggressively. We are then going to move through the full funnel work across the new offer, the new funnel, and the new ad structure. And then basically overall, you're going to get a really detailed insight into the collaboration and also the exact path that you can basically apply to your brand to more than double your revenue. So enjoy the case study, lean back, grab a snack, grab a coffee, and let's get straight into it. So first of all, the collaboration began with a full analysis of the brand and a custom roadmap that's focused on the biggest levers, right? So we started talking to the founders back in September 2025 and then started in October. On paper, everything looked good. So we checked the ad account. It was running fairly strong with around 320 live ads, including founder ads, UGC, image ads with copy, and podcast ads, right? So the ad KPIs didn't even seem that bad. But then what we figured out is that the problem was everything after the ads, right? So everything that happened as soon as people clicked on the ad, because they sent basically all of their traffic to the brand's collection page. And this really overwhelmed new visitors and especially the cold traffic from ads, and that led to high bounce rates. So that's also why they were able to do 400 or 500K per month in revenue, but when they wanted to scale further, their ROAS dropped and profitability collapsed, right? It was the classic glass ceiling that we see with dozens of brands that are around that scale where they go into more cold traffic. And It's also interesting because they've been very strong at creative production, but they never thought about building a strong offer and a strong funnel to convert all of the ad traffic. So in the analysis, we basically broke down the account into 3 core problems. Number 1, they had a weak funnel setup, right? So the first thing that we wanted to fix is the problem of all of this traffic going to the collection page. Every click landed on a page with just dozens of products, without a narrative, without a story, and without guidance for the user. Right? So cold traffic, who has never heard of the brand before, just got overwhelmed and bounced back. And that is why the brand could buy attention, but couldn't really convert it profitably. So this is the first thing that we focus on fixing. The second thing is that they didn't have a cold-friendly offer, right? The offer was too generic. The entry offer was just a product with a standard discount that every competitor was running. And there wasn't really a perceived value reason to buy the offer. There wasn't really an AOV lever to make cold traffic profitable. So that really made scaling very, very difficult. And the third thing was weak new customer acquisition. This is really counterintuitive, right? But the brand had very strong retention and that was masking the weak acquisition. So if you look at that 400K per month in revenue, 30% of that was because of returning customers. And this sounds great on the surface, but if you understand the metrics behind that, you're going to see that for a brand this size, it's actually the opposite, right? Because they were only really doing 200 to 300K per month on new customers, right? So the revenue base was carried by existing customers rebuying, not by new acquisition. So based on these 3 problems, the roadmap for the first 30 days was simple. We wanted to fix all of these problems in order of leverage, right? So cold traffic didn't have a funnel, meaning we needed to build a dedicated funnel and move all of the cold traffic away from the collection page through a dedicated funnel. Secondly, the offer was too generic, so we wanted to restructure the entry offer into a perceived value stack to really bump up the front-end average order value and make everything way more profitable. And then thirdly, not enough new customers were coming in, right? So we completely restructured the ad account and the creative library and wanted to scale way harder on cold traffic. And the goal was clear in the partnership. We basically need to build funnels and restructure the whole account so that they can scale profitably on cold traffic. And for that, we basically took 4 steps, right? You can also see it here. Step number 1 is the market research. So as I said earlier, in the introduction of this video, the number 1 thing are the fundamentals. And a lot of people think that they understand the customers and their target audience, but that's not the reality, right? So before we even touched the funnel or the offer, the first thing we did is we went deep on the customer, right? So the technical setup of the ad account, of the ads, of the funnel, of the offer and everything is always fundamentally the same, right? But what really differentiates you is the research that goes into building all of that. So just high level, what we did is we exported all of the customer reviews that they had. We went through Facebook, right? Like comments under the ads, DMs that they would be getting. We went through online forums like Reddit, Quora, and all of these where the target audience would spend time. And then we basically just collected all of that, right? In the next step, we then wanted to understand what is the recurring language, what are the patterns, what are the objections that they have, what are the buying triggers, what are the pain points, beliefs, what are competitors that they looked at, and all of that stuff, right? And then what we wanted to do is we wanted to compare how customers describe the product in their own words against how the brand described it on the website. So the founder said that the research alone felt like it took 3 days, right? But it completely changed how they saw a customer they thought they already knew. And the gap was clear, right? Because, and you're going to see it here too, what the brand was selling was this product, right? So it's selling shapewear. And the brand was always selling fashion and functions, but the customer were rather buying an emotional benefit. So it wasn't that they bought it because it looked so cool or whatever. It was because they had an emotional benefit for it, right? So it was the feeling of wearing clothes that fit my shape rather than the clothes shaping the customer. And that single insight was really, really crazy because it completely changed the foundation for the listicle angles, the ad messaging, and the offer framing. So if you want to dive deeper into how to do that, how to do the customer research, I've put an SOP here that basically explains how to do it step by step, right? On how you can proceed to mine messages from your customers, what questions you have to ask your customers, how to do the pattern analysis and everything, right? So if you're interested in that, just go through that SOP. Then basically after we've been done with that and created very strong customer avatars and had a very, very great understanding of the customer avatar, we then in step number 2 wanted to restructure the entry offer, right? So basically what we did is we built a buy 3, get 2 free. right? So buy 3, get 2 free to drastically improve the front-end AOV. A higher front-end average order value is what gives you the edge in the bidding war of paid acquisition, because you know that the ad platform costs are rising. So basically how much you pay to get attention, whether that's the CPM, whether that's the cost per click, or whether that's the customer acquisition cost at the end of the day, is always rising. So you need to combat that with a higher average order value. So that's what we wanted to do here. Number one, we built this offer of they can buy 3 and they get 2 products on top, and they also can get a free gift, right? So that's number one. And then number 2 is obviously the complete framing in terms of the messaging, right? So what you can see here, premium shaping, bodysuit with extra wide straps, figure shaping and invincible. And then we basically said the copy here, tummy wave effect, shapes an hourglass figure in seconds, skin friendly, soft and ultra comfortable, and perfect fit guarantee, right? So these were basically all of the copy that we took from the research in this step number 1. And that's why it's so important. It's not only the price point, it's not only what you do in the bundle, or if you say buy 2 get 1 free, buy 3 get 2 free, get a free gift, whatever. Obviously that's huge in terms of bumping up the AOV, but number 2 is also communicating the offer in a way that it really clicks for your customer. So with this higher AOV, you can then outbid competitors on the same traffic and still stay profitable. And that is the prerequisite for scaling core traffic without crashing your ROAS and your margin. When everybody else tries to optimize for backend LTV, we wanted to have a shorter cashback time, right? So we wanted to already make that on the front end. And that's a very, very strong advantage, because if you can increase your front end average order value, you can spend more time and you can acquire customers quicker than your competitors can, right? So you can also scale ad spend faster than your competitors can, just because you make more profits on the front end. And the result of that is that you can obviously claim more market share and outperform your competitors way better. And with the average order value before that, they basically had an AOV of 61, and then we were able to improve that AOV to around 91, which is obviously huge. If you want to dive deeper into how to build offers, then I also linked an SOP here that basically breaks down really how to build a very, very strong offer with different elements. I have a lot of different case studies in here, so just check out that SOP if you're interested in that. And then here you're also going to find the video breakdown, which is like a 30-ish minute breakdown of how to build strong offers. So that's both linked here. Then step number 3, after we've done the customer research and after we've then built a strong offer, is we wanted to optimize the funnel. And this is really what changed everything, right? So we built a dedicated preset page and moved all the call traffic away from the collection page, right? So basically the preset page, it works as a conversion rate multiplier. Instead of sending all of that call traffic to a confusing collection page, we wanted to warm them up first with storytelling, with proof, and with education. And by the time they went through the whole preset page and then clicked through to the product page with the offer, they understand the brand, they understand the mechanism, and then they believe that the brand can deliver on what they promised, and they want the offer. So the new funnel was like this. We sent ad traffic to a listicle. They then had to read through the whole listicle. At the bottom, they could then click through to the PDP with the offer, and from there, they would be pushed into checkout. And basically, every listicle follows the same proven structure, right? So this is what you can see here. We basically have an announcement bar with a countdown timer, right, to really set urgency. Underneath that, we then have a headline, so something like 7 reasons why you should wear shapewear from a real woman, or 5 reasons why all of this target audience is going crazy for this product, or something like that, right? So you want to have a strong headline. And then below that, you then basically want to have 5, 6, 7 reasons where you always have an image on the left-hand side, and then you have some form of copy on the right-hand side where you explain why this is new, why this is better. You want to explain why this has a great impact on the customers. You want to show social proof. You want to show reviews. You want to show guarantee. And you basically want to explain the whole offer, the brand, and the proof and the benefits to the customer in a very easy way. And then at the bottom, you then basically have the call to action to push to the product page. And this is basically what it looked like then. So you can see at the top, we had the announcement bar with the countdown timer. We then had a very strong headline that drove a lot of attention, right? And then down below, we then always had an image. And then on the right-hand side, we had a quick benefit or some form of copy. And then they could just scroll to the page and then claim the offer, right? And then basically we started with one version, but then we super quickly duplicated this against multiple angles, right? So for example, we tested pain point driven versus desire. We tested an identity angle. We tested different visuals and different proof elements, right? So in terms of the headline or in terms of the copy that you can write here or the images or the videos, you can obviously then duplicate that for different custom avatars. You can duplicate that for different angles, and you can also play around with what specifically you write in there. And then each winning angle basically taught us more about the customer, which then fed straight back into the ads and the offer framing. And then there was a second benefit that most brands miss, right? So even when a customer did not convert in the first customer journey on the first visit, they entered the lower funnel, right? So basically cold traffic to Listicle, and even if they didn't click through to the product page and converted, we would then retarget them with ads that will then grab them and then push them to the product page. And then they were already pre-educated, and that drastically improved the overall conversion rate on the retargeting ads too, right? So the result of this was a deeper customer understanding and more profitable new customers entering the brand at the top of funnel. And if you want to dive deeper into how to set up funnels, I've also linked a video SOP here, which is again another 30 minutes something, where I just break down like how to set up funnels and everything. So if you want to understand how to work with funnels better, then I really recommend watching this video. And then the last steps was ads optimization, right? So with this brand specifically, as I said, they had over 300 active ads that were already very strong, right? So we didn't really rebuild the creative engine. We needed to fix what was broken, right? So mostly what was broken is that they had so many different ads, but then in terms of the ad structure, all of these ads were just going to the collection page. So basically what we did is we built multiple different campaigns, right, in the ad account, where we would separate the ad campaigns to different goals, right? So we had a prospecting campaign that went to top of funnel to the listicle. We then had a retargeting campaign to get the people, retarget them, push them to the product page. And we then had multiple bottom of funnel campaigns to the product page, right? So the biggest thing was restructuring the media buying sequence and not necessarily the whole creative engine. So that was really the main thing. Most brands, they develop a ton of vision around paid acquisition because they're good at it. But then they don't really understand how to set up the ad account, or then also how to set up the funnel behind that. So that's really what you want to understand. So we basically restructured the way that they would set up the campaigns to match the new funnel angles, right? So now each ad had specific listicles or specific pages to be pushed into, right? So we had multiple different entry pages instead of all of the traffic going to one collection page. And that's basically what you can see here, right? So for example, we had a specific angle in the ad that would go to a specific listicle angle that would go to a specific product page, right? Or then we had an angle B that would go to a different listicle to a different product page, right? So that's the main thing that you want to do. And the funnel game is really one with congruency. So a single focus angle from the first touch point until they buy. I really recommend going into this SOP here if you want to understand all of the ad stuff better, right? So you can find that on page 21. So here we basically talk about the whole creative engine, right? So how to set up the creative strategy in terms of doing the customer research, combining that with your offer, and then with the different angles and awareness stages. We also then in this SOP talk about how to then build the creatives, right? So I also give you different creative formats that really work well for our clients right now. And then this is the most important stuff, right? In terms of the creative batches. You want to set up multiple creative batches, and then you need a very strong campaign setup in terms of testing creatives, validating creatives, and scaling creatives, right? And then obviously, as I said earlier, you want to have prospecting campaigns for cold traffic, you want to have retargeting campaigns, and then you want to have bottom of funnel campaigns. So the whole structure in the ad account really matters. So I really recommend this SOP. And again, of course, I also have a video walkthrough of the whole SOP on how to get a strong return on ad spend in any market. So this is probably one of the most valuable videos you're going to find on my YouTube channel, and I very much recommend to watch this next. So summary in your next steps. Yes, it's possible to double your revenue in a super short time span, as you can see in this case study, but most people, they skip the basics and they chase dumb shiny objects. If you're not yet at 8 figures per year, it's probably because you don't have the fundamentals dialed in. E-com scale is the integration of all of these fundamentals. You need great creatives, you need a great funnel, a great code-friendly offer, and a great product. And one doesn't work without the other. In 2026, if you're strong at creatives but everything else lacks, then you're just not going to scale profitable and fast anymore. If you integrate all of these steps, then you're going to scale faster than ever and make a shit ton of money. And yes, you can obviously build this alone, but you're just going to make more mistakes, mostly from missing insights or doing all of this in the wrong order, and it will take far longer than it needs to, right? If you want to, obviously you can do all of this with us in 90 days with our team guiding you every step, and you keep the entire system afterwards, right? So this is not an agency service, this is a done with you service, right? So if you're interested in the fast track and interested in our team helping you execute this with your existing in-house team, where we just basically give you the strategy, we give you the SOPs, templates, and AI agents, then just click on this link and book a free growth audit, right? As I said, just put in your details here. You're going to get it on call with my team. We're going to walk through your KPI, your brand, your funnels, your ad account, and everything, and then basically build this roadmap together with you, right? So on this call, we will look at your store and everything, and then give you an honest assessment of your biggest strategic activities and the roadmap of how to execute it, right? We will also show exactly how we would implement this model for your brand. So there's no commitment and no pitch if this is not a fit. So this call either way is going to be super, super valuable for you, because you're going to walk away with a clear roadmap. And we consistently produce results like this. We consistently count the profits and money with our clients and buy nice stuff together, like fast cars and nice watches, right? So if you want to achieve similar results, just click on the link, apply to work with us here. And again, I really, really recommend you going through these case studies. These are very, very valuable and super insightful. And then also checking out the SOPs that are linked in this document. Again, you're going to find everything underneath the video. Let me know if you have any feedback, any questions, so I can then record another video next week. And then, yeah, just take some time to go through this, and hope you enjoyed the video.